Hello everyone, as usual it's me Pavlo and I've got for you a firm daily dose of Ukrainian accent. We are going to talk about really hyped device, it's FiiO M33, new version of their mid-segment player priced at $700. FiiO decided to update their M23, but this time they decided to launch a mid-segment model with their proprietary resistor ladder digital to analog conversion technology. And of course they've added powerful amplifier, used the Snapdragon 680 as chipset, added 5.5 inches screen, so with Android 13 it's a pretty modern, nice player. But of course we all here mainly for the sound, so let's find out what we're getting in this area. Box is nice, good polygraphy, really pleasant cardboard. Traditionally for FiiO not much information printed on it, but they usually don't print any specs anyway. And it opens with magnetic flap, and inside of the box you're getting player itself with a leather case and a bit of accessories. So here we have USB Type-C to Type-A cable. Maybe it's already time to transition to Type-C to Type-C. And some manual warranty card, and probably initially case was put in this box. Stock leather case is really nice. It looks attractive, it's well made, has this interesting asymmetrical grill on the back side, and I find it a bit hilarious that they made special cut on the side, so you will be able to see this R2R logo on the side. Player is made of metal with a plastic back panel. It has a bit of soft touch effect, really nice, and a big borderless screen on the front. So bezels are really slim, and that makes it look more attractive. As you can see, FiiO simplified design a little bit, but at the same time they've added this really nice parallel stripes on the sides, and it feels great in hand. It really improves grip and gives you more reliability, and the player fits really well in hand. You can control it nicely, so all these things are great. On the left side we have volume buttons and custom buttons that you can redefine in the menu. On top it's on-off button with a circular indicator around, and two outputs, single-ended and balanced. And single-ended can work also as a coaxial. On the right side we have three buttons for the playback control, and the middle one has really distinct tactile bump that helps you find it. And the traditional FiiO's signature desktop mode toggle. It's pretty simple. You plug here external power, you turn on desktop mode, and it will work without using built-in battery. And on the bottom we have two USB ports. This one is traditionally universal. You can use it for charging, to access files, to use it as DAC. It actually has XMOS chip inside, which makes DAC function pretty nice. And also separate USB for desktop mode. And speaking about charging, you can get up to 15 hours of work. It's for single-ended out. On the balanced, slightly less, but still work time is pretty nice. And the micro SD slot, of course, we need it nowadays for any device. Screen is also pretty decent. It has good viewing angles, nice resolution, pretty bright, and thanks to Snapdragon 680 inside, it gives you nice and really snappy interface with everything. It's not lagging, it's just I'm not swiping far enough to register. But anyway, really well built, solid modern device. Firmware-wise, it's Android 13 with Google Play Store available and without too much changes in the non-sound related areas. No custom launcher or something like that, and in my opinion it's a great solution. As usual, you're getting built-in sample rate conversion bypass, and a bit of additional options here in the drop down and in the settings. Also, you have some extra applications like Enter Sleep, technical support, FiiO Run, system-wide equalizer. Pretty nice. So you can select preset, you can make it custom, you can enable, disable it. Also, FiiO recently added auto EQ, so you can select your headphones, you can select target curve, and it will apply equalization to match this target curve. And also here you can enable compressor, channel balance, play a little bit with different enhancements. Also FiiO Cast to access other device, and the tape mode, so nice tape-like interface. In the settings, three main items, actually four. First one is mode choose, and standard is Android mode. Then pure music mode is basically Android but with player instead of launcher. USB DAC, Bluetooth receiver, and AirPlay receiver. And all these modes are separate, you can easily toggle them. I like that they gathered this in one place. Then, audio settings, you can select 3.5mm output and balanced output. You need phone out or line out. Personalized sound, it's flat or enhanced sound quality. I prefer to keep it flat because enhancer, it's fun, but I still prefer flat because it's a bit less color to my ears. PCM output mode is oversampling or non-oversampling, and the DSD output mode, you can also select native or DSD to PCM, 3 level of gain, Bluetooth codecs and settings, channel balance, all to DSD upsampling. Actually, you can see all these settings and they speak for themselves. Then in the display, you can turn on sample rate display, and you can control this indicator light. And in the global, you can select what you want to do with this multifunction button on the side, select one of few tape mode settings, and power off timer. So basically also different useful settings. And of course, main application is FiiO Music. I won't do a deep dive here. It's just a nice modern Android player with good interface and almost every feature you can think of, like media library organization, different access, mass operations, playlists, creation and manipulations, access to network servers, a bunch of useful settings, but probably everyone already saw this player many times. In general, really nice, reliable, stable firmware that FiiO polished few years ago already and just use on the new players. Works pretty fast thanks to good hardware, so everything is really nice and smooth. FiiO continue actively employ their R2R solution in different devices, and now we have this in the portable player. They've built their own resistor ladder digital to analog converter, and it does exactly what you can expect. There are two sound modes, non-oversampling and oversampling, and as usual with oversampling you're getting more natural and resolving sound. In the non-oversampling mode you're getting most of this signature R2R juice and meat and body and slam and worms and everything else. So player delivers exactly this sound. Pretty technical, but still with a noticeable amount of worms, weight, body, and actually also with a focus on the macro dynamics and emotions. It's not trying to be absolutely natural and resolving. Instead, it's trying to be fun, engaging, and powerful. Bass goes to maximum depth. It's really well controlled, which is not surprising taking amplification power into the account. It delivers a great meat, nice punch and tightness, but at the same time you're getting slightly less focus on the small nuances in the bass and slightly less texturing. but instead more impact, more tightness, and more weight. It's not like a bass head player or something like that. It's more about shifting accents. You're getting that warmth that makes everything a bit more highlighted and fun. And first example, it's Get Lucky, really great match for such representation, nice engaging bass line with great contrast to mid frequencies that makes it really fun. And Ninna Nanna by Musica Nuda, really juicy, big, saturated double bass, slightly less less focus on the tiniest nuances of the strings compared to some traditional Delta Sigma DACs, but at the same time much more engagement into the sound of this instrument. Mid frequencies are really emotional with a great boost in the dynamics, and it helps them to deliver a fun sound signature, but at the same time they stays pretty resolving. It's not focused on the smallest, tiniest nuances, and because of that, it's slightly less forgiving for the quality of records compared to some Delta Sigma decks. Still, resolution, of course, is great, and better material will give you much better results in terms of sound, but just a bit less focusing on some issues. Instruments have a bit of extra weight, but not too much, not to shift tonal balance or to make them sound unrealistic. Imaginary stage is really interestingly built. In width, it's noticeably above average, but not super wide, not super spacious, and not trying to be pinpoint and holographic, but depth is really good, and the depth is really deep with really great layer separation. Sometimes it tends to highlight vocal a little bit and move forward, but not too much of this effect. It's really good with fast transitions, and when it's necessary to represent something epic and powerful, it does it pretty well. First example will be Pantera, great southern Trendkill. I really like this track. It's super bold start of an album when you absolutely understand what you can expect here. This piercing scream that transitions to fat, catchy riffs, and that all is pretty well represented. There is a bit of extra highlighting of the dirt on this record, but it's still really authentic to the overall material of the album. And Dreamtime by Tuomas Holopainen, nice orchestral masterpiece with lot of great things, and probably I'd prefer a little wider stage, but at the same time how this player delivers all that emotional parts is really great. High differences are probably the most noticeable area where you can hear difference between non-oversampling and oversampling mode. In the non-oversampling, they slightly laid back, not too much, but still you hear that a bit less energy put in the high frequencies, and because of that they sounding more comfortable, but with really nice attacks and decays and resolution. In the oversampling mode, you'll get more energy in the high frequencies, more airness, and at the same time attacks and decays became slightly sharper and faster, so they became a bit more highlighted and saturated. Treble extension is above average, not maximum, but pretty nice, and layering is also decent, especially taking into account that it's not a strong part of the typical R2R matrices. So FiiO did something to fix the typical issue of the R2R, and you're getting nice, really nice saturated basic overtones, and the more advanced complex overtones are done pretty well. Of course, compared to some flagship models, layering could be better, but still high frequency sound pretty enjoyable. And first example for the high frequencies, it's typical track I use, I Burn For You by Sting. Nice live performance with lot of airy overtones of instruments and vocal, and it sounds really engaging, not too sharp or too forward, which is really good. And Wonderland by Hiromi Uehara, really demanding track in terms of extension and layering, and compared to more expensive players, you can hear that M33 lags here a little bit, but still a good sense of realism and saturation with overtones. So it's not a bug, it's a feature. So it's a player that should sound this way, and it does it really nice. Of course, you have built-in equalizer, which helps you to adjust sound to your liking, and it definitely unlocks like next tier of player usage. In terms of power, it's a really versatile device. Great black background, even with sensitive IEMs on one hand, and a lot of power to drive even pretty demanding headphones on the other hand. And you have desktop mode if you want to care about your battery. It even slightly more improves the dynamics for the power-hungry full-size headphones. So just few models probably exist on the market that this player cannot drive properly. Speaking about the comparisons, it's a bit of on their own player, because compared to M23, like predecessor of this model, M23 is more natural, it's more detailed, but at the same time it's thinner with with less weight, and basically it's like difference where M23 is trying to be audiophilic and natural, and this one is trying to be dynamic and engaging. And maybe some people will ask, but iBasso DX270, because they both use R2R matrices, but iBasso does that on the next level, because they have similar signatures, similar ideas in sound, but iBasso has better control, better dynamics, and better treble layering. But at the same time, of course, iBasso is a much more expensive player. Anyway, this player will be popular, I'm pretty sure, because it delivers exactly the sound that a lot of people like. Non-analytical, but fun, engaging, emotional, and groovy. And that's add here nice amplifier, good Android system, overall great build quality, lightweight, so all things that that are required for player to succeed. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a great day.